Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to change a thermostat and the water temperature sensor that controls the gauge in the car on the dash on a CE Lancer. So the thermostat and sensors are located just behind here. We'll get a better view of that, but it's just the intro. But yeah, so we're going to be changing that today. So you're going to need your wrench and then your socket for the wrench, obviously. So that's a 12mm, and you're also going to need a 12mm spanner and then flat tip screwdriver to take off the hose clamps. So that's for the sensor, that's for taking the thermostat housing off. So that's, you're going to need those. You may need a pair of pliers because one of my hose clamps was the one you squeeze together instead of, as you can see, the spare ones I have up there, where it's just a screwdriver. So you might need that depending, and then plastic razor blade to scrape the old gasket material off the surfaces of the thermostat housing, so you have a clean seal. You also need your thermostat. That's the part number I've gotten for the CE Lancer. So yeah, so you'll need the thermostat. You're also going to need a water pump / thermostat housing gasket maker to reseal the thermostat housing. Since I'm also replacing the water temperature sensor for the gauge, so it tells, like on your dash, tells you how hot your coolant is and stuff. So I'm replacing that. Be wary if you're also changing it. This is called a water temperature sensor. Coolant sensor is completely different. I found that out. I ended up bringing it out, tried, and yeah, so you need that. And then since we're putting that in, it's got no thread sealing on it. We had to buy some, so you've got Permatex. So we got that as high temperature thread sealer. So just need those two. You obviously also need coolant to replace the coolant that's you're gonna lose from pulling it apart. Optional, you can use a torque wrench so you do it to spec so it's perfectly tightened, or you can say fuck that shit and then just fucking do it by hand like a normal person. But if I've already got it, might as well use it. So this is the thermostat housing right here. So we're gonna take this apart and our thermostat will be wedged between those two pieces, and that is our sensor right there. So if you're changing the gauge sensor, make sure that you get a water temperature sensor and not a thermostat sensor, because a thermostat sensor, I'm pretty sure from memory, don't quote me, I think it's at the back just under there a little bit more, and yeah, but yeah, so we're replacing those two today. So we're just going to take off the top radiator hose. I've got a bucket that's under. I had to check the car on ramps, but so we're going to take it off from that end, and then that way we can cup it and just straight the floor into the bucket. So we're using a flat tip, or you can use a socket, because it is a socket or a flat tip on it. So you just undo it. So yeah, undone that. Yeah, a bit of a stubborn thing, but see how you can turn it. It's loose. It's a bit of a shit fucking, what do you call it, clamp. But yeah, so you just grab. It can be stuck on there very well. Like the extra hose, so you just twist it back and forth to break the seal. When they're cold, they're very stiff. But you always want to do it when the car's cold, because it'll burn you. You obviously don't have to remove this, but it's better to, I just wanted a better angle. So now you can see we have better access to the thermostat housing. So we've got a bolt up here that also holds a bracket for this connector, and a bolt down there. So that's also connected to the lower radiator control, lower radiator hose. So that goes, so we had the top one that I just took off for convenience, but that one's connected to the bottom. So you can leave that connected as well. When you pull it off, you should just scrape off the gasket. I'm just gonna probably take that off for the video purposes. Like, you can leave it back, pull it, and then scrape it. But use a plastic scraper, because I'm pretty sure that's aluminum from memory. Even so, it's better not to scratch it. Just use a plastic one to get off the gasket. But yeah, so it's just a 12mm bolt. So crack it loose, and then do the other one. One bolt, and put the top one in. 2 bolts. So now you can hear it leaking because all the cord's also coming out there as well. So you're just going to pull that back, and that will release even more coolant and move it out of the way just by going like so. And there you go. There's your thermostat in there. So I'm just going to take off this part of the thermostat as off the radiator hose. I'm just going to use pliers because this one has a like this type of clamp. It's just you push it together and it'll break off instead of the ring clamp. Oh, it's slipping my mind what it's actually called. So you just squeeze those together and then twist it like you would do off of that. And then yeah, I'll try and get a video, but the camera's not that tall to go over and my arm might be in the way. But squeeze like that. Slide it down past it. That way you don't have to keep holding it. And then you should be able to just, oh, it's on there good. Jeez, I'm gonna have to probably give it a pick and just break the seal off of that, or a flat tip. You can use whatever. So it really does not want to come off the hose. Fine, just won't get a better view of it. But with your thermostat, take notice of how it's oriented. There's a little hole up here, but that's the bleeding hole. So just remember when you put in the new one, that's what do you call it? The way you've got to put it back in. And sometimes they are stuck in there a bit, so you can just grab a screwdriver and pop them out that way. So more coolant. But yes, so that's the way it was oriented. As you can see, has that hole there. So I'll grab the new one real quick. This one has like a bubble, whatever the fuck that's called in it. So you can see it still gets oriented. It's just got that ball thing in there. Still has that hole. But yeah, so when you put it back in, it goes back in that way. Just like that one was. Alright, while we're here now, we'll clean up the surface of the thermostat housing. So just grab your plastic blade so it doesn't scratch it. Okay, now that all the mating surfaces are cleaned up, I've just got that piece, the bungee fucking cord, pulled it out of the way so I could clean it easier. So now we're going to install this, the thermostat, the correct way up, so it can stop leaking some coolant out, so that way it's dry when you put the gasket maker on. So I'm just going to grab that, and then we're going to pop her in like so, until it's got the rubber O-ring on there. Should help seal it off from the coolant leaking. And a bit wonky, fix that up. Just spin it that way. There we go. And now we'll just give it a wipe, and we'll get ready to put the thermostat housing gasket maker on there. Okay, after a little bit, I was able to loosen it. I used just a bigger flat tip. It'd just be easier if I could show you guys what to actually do, instead of like oh yeah, this is how it's done. Quick photo or like thing. So I just done that, and now I can twist it out. Still a bit tight, but you'd rather it tight than loose. hopefully you can just let that sit there. Not much coolant will come out, but there we go. This also lets me clean it way better now that I can actually see. So we're going to go over to the bench now. But now, yeah, we've got gloves on, but who cares? So now you just, use a plastic blade. It's just better to clean up the mating surface. Now you're just going to wipe it down with a paper towel or cloth. So now I'm going to apply some, you call it, gasket maker. Make sure you get a thermostat housing and water pump one, or it doesn't have to be water pump, but it's made for thermostat, so cooling all that stuff. So best way to do it, that's why we got gloves on. Let's just squeeze some out. And we're just going to coat around. Nice thin coat. Oh, fuck's sake. Alright, you have to reapply some. Dog hair getting into it, great. Yeah, if you want a dog hair, he's just chilling under the fence. Do not let your pets near coolant. It's poisonous and it smells sweet. I don't think it also tastes as sweet. I wouldn't know, have not tried it. But animals love to drink it, I've heard. So it's always better to be safer than sorry. Alright, make sure you get around everything. So even there, better to have a fucking good seal than no seal. Okay, that looks good to me. Okay, I've just got to push back into the hose, not all the way, but yeah, so I'm just going to push back into the hose. There we go. Now make sure I haven't messed up the gasket, yeah. And I'm gonna let it sit there. It's not touching just yet. Grab the bolt, and we're gonna put those back in and just tighten it. Don't forget the bracket. I'll put that one. I'm gonna go grab the second bolt that I put in. Get that one started as well. Plug it in. Plug it in. And we're gonna tighten it down. Don't want to do it too tight on one end. You just want to do both evenly. Trying to do it till it's like tight, and then we'll torque it down to the correct torque setting. So we just go like that. You can see a little bit of the gasket comes out on the edges. If I can see if I can zoom in for you. That's all right. If you want, you can even wipe that. You can just leave it. Does not matter. But yeah, so now I'm just gonna go grab the torque wrench. So I've got my torque wrench here. I've got a digital one. You can also have a normal one. It's 24 Newton meters for the bolts. So I've got mine set to 24. So now we're just gonna just try and zoom in. Alright. I'm going to cut back and I'll zoom in because I can only zoom in to 1.5 times for this. So now we're talking the bolts in. I've just got it set up like that. Changed it out because I couldn't use the deep socket. So now, there we go. That's torqued in on the top bolt. Now the bottom bolt. There we go. And those have been torqued in. Now we'll move on to the sensor while that's the gasket maker's drawing. Alright, now we're going to take off the temperature sensor. So there's a button on this side, you press in and you can pull it off. And I'll see if I can get to show you guys. But yeah, I'm not sure if you can see. Oh, it's way off camera. That little button you press in and then you just set that to the side and then you grab in 12mm. Oh, the Fox camera, it's over here. 12mm, I'm going to undo that. There you go, it's out. Oh, there we go, good Susan. And compare this with the new one. So, zoom out a bit, there we go. So you get your old one, got your new one, just give them a bit of a compare. Basically the same size, this one's a little bit thinner, but it's not OEM, it's aftermarket, so, but yeah, looks about the same thread. So we should be chilling. Alright, we're gonna add our gasket maker to the sensor. So need the tube on this one. It says you gotta like mix it all back together because it's a liquid. I found out that when I tried putting it on and it just came out as fucking water. So yeah. It's way better. Now, just going to quickly just wipe a bit of that off to clear. So I'm just wiping it into the threads a good amount. Yep. And then, if you can, it does say to try and keep the first thread clean of it. So I'm just using my nail with a cloth, taking off the first thread. Will focus. Okay, just not do the first thread or two, it's fine. But yeah, so now we'll go install that into the car. Alright, time to put it back where it belongs. It's in there. And just thread our own in. And then we'll drop it back. And then we're just going to tighten her up. That feels fine to me. Now we're just going to let it all set and dry. So I got that gasket make for the thermostat and then the thread sealant seal. So I would say, I don't actually know how long you're supposed to leave it for, so I'm going to leave it for about an hour or two. And then we'll fill the car back up. And then while we're waiting, we'll just plug the sensor back on though, so we don't forget. There you heard it click. Good, and now just let it dry. So now I'm just putting the top radiator hose back on. So I'm just going to drop that there. There we go. Now you can just clean up all the corn that's just sitting on stuff. And yeah, now it's just a waiting game. Okay, so it's the next day. I ended up bringing Permatex, or whatever the brand name is, and asked them what the cure time, because it was not on the little gasket maker. So I rang him and he goes, oh, it says 24 hours for a full cure time. And he's like, if you can wait it, I would. If not, he goes about 8 to 12 hours. It should set fine. But I had the liberty of waiting, so I just waited for 24 hours. So it's now 11 o'clock again. So just double checking that's all finally sealed. We won't know until we start the car anyway if it's leaking. So what we're going to do is we'll take the radiator cap off. And I've got a funnel kit that's the brand. So yeah, so it comes with a, they get rid of the bench, but it comes with a full kit for all different cars. So that one's for my Commodore that I've got set up, just left it like that so I don't have to find it. That's the pieces that fit the what do you call it, Lancer. So yeah, you could just keep filling up the radiator, but this just makes bleeding it so much easier. So I'm just gonna put that on. There we go. And then you can fill this up with coolant, and then there's a lever on the side, and you just turn it and it'll let the coolant actually go into the radiator. And then if you need to stop it, and like when you need to take off the car, you turn it off and you can take it without it leaking. But yeah, so now we're going to fill this up and then just squeeze some of the hoses, let that come through, and then we'll turn the car on, check for leaks, and then we'll chuck the heater on so we can open all the coolant channels. I think the heater core, I believe it's called. Yeah, and then you just let the coolant circulate, fill up, hopefully bleed out all the air, because it's this highest point in the engine, like, because now we've got this on it, all the air should try and come up here and escape. Okay, so we're just going to fill the funnel up now. Just grab your coolant. I've still got the lever like in the off position, so no coolant's going to go actually into the radiator yet. Just going to fill this up. It's about there, and then we can keep adding more. Yeah, I'll just open the lever. Oh, it's stuck a little bit. And then while this is going, you want to just check for any leaks. Somehow if you've forgotten to do like maybe a hose up, but it's just good to check before you turn the car on. But I'll let that fully go. Check on the floor at the same time. No leaks so far, that's good. Hopefully keep it about there, and then we'll get ready to turn the car on, and hopefully a little bit more should come through as everything opens up. And I'm just gonna run the car for probably like a minute or two, see if anything leaks, like the thermostat, gasket seal, or somehow comes out the the water temperature sensor. If not, then we'll crank the heater up full blast and just let it circulate for a bit, and then just keep an eye on your coolant. Okay, I'm just going to have my partner start the car, and then we'll see if anything leaks. So just keep an eye on the thermostat and the thread. Everything we've touched, keep an eye on. You may see a bit of smoke, but that's because the coolant fell onto the exhaust headers. So it's burning off all that coolant that was on there. So it might get a bit stinky, so make sure you're in like a well ventilated area. And then you can just run your finger under the thermostat and see if you get anything on your fingers or your gloves. check. You feel better with your bare hands. But yeah. So now we're just gonna let this idle for a bit, and then give it like 2 minutes, and then we'll open the heater valve. So I'll cut back to when I'm about to turn the heater on. Okay, I'm about to go put the heater on full blast. So you're gonna pure heat, highest setting, so you can see it's starting to bubble a bit more now. But yeah, so I'll just leave this on like a time lapse, and then I'll just speed it up so you can see it bleed a little bit. Okay, so the car's been sitting for probably about 5 minutes now. It was recording, but I ran into storage on my iPhone, so we're just back to this now after I deleted some shit. But it's gone down a tiny bit. A bit of bubbles have come out, ran the heater, full blast, everything. So now I'm just going to go turn it off, and we're going to let it sit for a little bit, because that metal piece just down there is a bit warm to the touch. We'll let that cool down, and then we'll take it off, and we can put the other radiator cap back on and double check for leaks. But be careful, the engine's hot now. And then we're going to go take it for a test drive, check for leaks again, and then we'll go from there. So it's been like 10 minutes. I just chucked that loosely on while it was sitting there, so like no dust and shit fell in there. And now just make sure to turn the dial back. It's closed, and if you want, you can unscrew it from the actual part. I'm just going to take off the whole thing. So a bit awkward. There we go. And now what you can also do is you can just go back to the bottle. Just bring it with me. I've got to do that up tight. Bring it over. Put that there. Drain it back in. Close it off. Bob's your uncle. There we go. And then just don't forget to put your radiator cap back on. It's a bit overfull from that, so like that. And then you can just clean up the coolant with a rag, or you can just let it burn off again. But now you're ready to take it for a test drive as long as there's no leaks. Okay, it took about a 10-minute drive. Temperature gauge perfectly fine, didn't overheat or anything, stayed where it should normally stay. We'll have to check the coolant after, obviously, because it's hot to the touch, but I have seen no leakage of coolant or anywhere. That's still fine, that's still very hot. But yeah, so we'll check back in a little bit, pop the radiator cap off and see if we see coolant somewhat in the radiator, like cap area, and if there is, you're all done. So it's been about an hour now, so this is cool. So now I'm going to open this and check the coolant level. As you can see, there's coolant in there, so that's all good. There's still no leaks, so you're all done. But yeah, so that's how you change a thermostat and a water temperature sensor on a CE Lancer or a 4G93 engine.